What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we've got some Destiny 2 news coming in the form of Bungie's weekly update, the TWID. And so as always, we're going to jump in and talk about it all. Bungie speak about the new PvP maps that are going to be arriving with the update next week. There'll also be a new playlist for those maps to help us get into them more regularly, so that's cool. They touch a little bit on Pantheon as well, nothing too major, but they give some interesting intel about some of the enemies in Pantheon, and very importantly for the final shape, they speak about exotic armor acquisition, so they're going to be changing that up for new exotic armor pieces, and it will involve the Cryptarch, which is interesting. There's also an update to shader icons in the final shape, and a bunch of other stuff which we'll round up in the video as always. So guys, I hope you enjoy this one, and if you do, a rating below really does help us out on the channel. But now, let's get into it. And initially, they talk about the new PvP maps that are coming next week. Of course, we are getting 3 of them, and as we covered in a video earlier on, they've now posted call-out maps for these, so we can get a top-down view of the layout of the maps and the names for all the zones here, which is pretty cool. On top of that though, they say, when these maps arrive on May 7th, they'll be on a separate 3v3 playlist called New Territory, so you can enjoy the new experience these maps offer on demand, and the playlist will replace the 3v3 quick play node and feature 3 maps with the following game modes, so we'll get Survival, Elimination, Clash, and Collision. Plus they say be sure to pick up the intro quest from Shax for more details on the maps and the playlist. And additionally, while New Territory is designed to be the playlist for the new maps, the maps will also be available in other playlists and private lobbies as normal. And they finally say that New Territory will be available until the end of the season, at which point any player who engaged in the playlist will be awarded with the new Staycation emblem, which is the one we can see on screen right there. So that's pretty cool. And it's nice that there is a specific playlist to help us get onto these maps without having to hunt them down randomly. So give us your thoughts about that, and more details about it are in the TWID. Also in the TWID though, they talk a bit about Pantheon. They don't go into any more future details for the mode, but they have these little profiles for a bunch of the bosses that we get inside of Pantheon, like Golgrath, Caretaker, Atrax, and Zorork. And there's some extra lore in there. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that last name incorrectly, but if you want to check those out, they are linked in the TWAB as they go into quite a few details, and I suppose a lot of folks want to keep to the newsier stuff. Otherwise, they do share some Bungie reward images for the title pin and the raid ring that they're bringing back for Pantheon. So if those are of particular interest, you can check those details out in the TWID linked below. But next up, let's speak about exotics in the final shape. And Bungie say the experience of grinding out new exotic armor can be a time-consuming process, and it can take quite a few runs to get the drop you're looking for, and many more to get one that has stats that support your build. Besides that, with exotic armor pieces often forming the backbone of a powerful build, new players are regularly asked to spend a long time tackling challenging content solo before being able to run builds that support the most effective tactics. But luckily, the Econ team has established a good working relationship with the tower's #1 Cryptarch over the last year as we added exotic armor focusing, and we've managed to help Raoul set up a new promotional program of sorts, and this will make farming the armor that you want more deterministic and less dependent on rotators. So we can see that Raoul is getting ranks right here, but just say, starting in the final shape, Raoul will become the source for any new exotic armor that's released, and when you first talk to Raoul after final shape launches, he'll introduce you to a new rewards program tied to his brand new reputation track. The idea is simple: the more you decode engrams with him, the more you increase your reputation, and once you completely fill the reputation track once and reset your rank, Raoul will allow you to enter into an elite club, giving you access to a new tier of focusing. And once you become one of Raoul's engram insiders, you'll be able to purchase any piece of exotic armor for any character on your account for 1 exotic engram and exotic cipher, in addition to the previous focusing options. And because this is tied to Raoul's reputation track, there is no weekly limit to using this tier of focusing. As long as you still have exotic ciphers and engrams, you can keep rolling armor. And they say with this change, we're also altering the way that old sources of exotic armor work. Firstly, lost sectors will keep the same drop rates for exotics, but will instead drop engrams whenever they previously dropped gear. Neomuna will also still drop new exotic armor when you complete a Vex Strike Force encounter, but we won't be adding any more new armor to the drop list after Season of the Wish. And with these changes, we know you're wondering, how long will it take to get this newfangled tier of focus in? And without going into too much detail, the actions that will give you the most reputation will be Precision Decryption, which is tier 2 focusing, followed by Advanced Decryption, then opening an exotic engram, and at last, opening Prime engrams. So if you want to be ready for the Witnesses 4 forces as soon as possible with the raid coming up early in the Final Shape launch, make sure to stock up on exotic engrams and ascendant shards before June 4th, as with a little more than a full stock of exotic engrams, you'll be able to start focusing new armor. So quite a big switch up to that system. Obviously there is that sort of initial input where we need to actually level up with Cryptarch, but beyond that it will certainly make acquiring new pieces of exotic gear a bit less random than it has been up until now with the Lost Sectors. So give us your thoughts about that. It's good to see a change though, and I'm sure Bungie will iterate on it as required. So share your thoughts in the comment section. But next, Bungie talk about the Final Shapes shader icon revamp, and they say the goal with the update is to help make shader icons more accurately reflect the colors and textures that they will apply. And on the image here, we can see how that's been updated. So certainly a bit different. It's almost a mix of the Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 shader icons, I suppose. And they say currently there are some issues that make the experience of applying a shader inconsistent. The first being that while each shader applies 6 colors, only 4 are currently shown on the icon, and this can sometimes result in the shader appearing differently than players may expect. But when you add to this the fact that all 4 colored sections of the armor are equal in shape and size, it makes it difficult to distinguish what the main colors will be when applied. And there are also many shaders that give unique glows that players strive for, and with the current design, they're not represented. So Gambit Jadestone is a great example of this. This is the current icon for it, and then you can see the one that we'll get with Final Shape. And Bungie say we've made updates to the shader icon design that includes all 6 colors for the shader, but they're also changing the design in a way that makes the primary colors appear to take more space than the secondary colors for a more accurate representation. On top of that though, glows are also reflected in the updated design, so it will be easier to distinguish shaders with glows within the shader selection screen. I think that looks pretty cool overall. Let us know what you think about it. It is something that Bungie teased a little while back, so nice to finally get a look at it and share your thoughts below. Otherwise in the TWID, there are a couple of extra updates, and they say for Windows 7 and 8 support, on June 4th, D2 is ending support for Windows 7, 8, and Windows 8.1 operating systems. This decision is to align with Steam and Microsoft ending support for these systems as well. And they say D2 may continue running on these older operating systems after June 4th, but Bungie are unable to guarantee continued functionality after that date. So Bungie urge players to upgrade to a more recent version of Windows or move to another platform so that playtime won't be interrupted. I'd be curious to know if any of you folks are still running those particular operating systems, but it's definitely something to keep in mind if you happen to be. And then for known issues, Bungie say for Pantheon checkpoints, due to an issue preventing players from progressing in Pantheon when joining at a checkpoint, they've disabled checkpoints for the Caretaker and the Zoork Explicator of Planets encounters, and they're attempting to resolve the issue as soon as possible, and will provide updates when they have more information. So there's that, and additionally for Archie quests, they say we've seen confusion surrounding the weekly quest hunts. So to clarify, these quests are only intended to be available for 1 week each, and were made with this time limit in mind. We understand that this is not ideal for all players, which is why we made the shader available for 1 completion for any of the weekly quests, but the lore attached to the triumphs will become available to all players when Final Shape launches. So basically at the moment, week over week as the Archie quests pop up, they're only available once inside of that given week, and then they're gone forever. So you can't catch up at the end of the season, basically. So if you're interested in hunting Archie down, getting the tokens of bravery and things like that, definitely it's something to keep in mind. For today though guys, that is the TWID, so as always I hope it's been an interesting one. Certainly excited to see the exotic armor changes that we're getting with Raoul, and the fact that there'll be ranks there, as well as the shader icon update, and of course the PvP content that's coming around next week, cool new emblem, and a playlist that helps us get into those new maps. So a few more positives if you ask me, but let us know what you think below. If you've enjoyed the video and found it useful, a rating really does help us out as well, and be sure to get subscribed to the channel for more Destiny content. Otherwise though, I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.